Welcome to Queens Create Dreams, and today we have Sharon Barnes from Pure Conveyancing. How are
Oh,
you?
I'm so well, Jess. Thank you for having me today. I was really excited
So,
to meet you.
Sharon, we start with what are you grateful for today? So, what are you grateful for?
Well, I have to say, my animals. I'm living my childhood dream, just having a beautiful Samoyed and 3 Palomino horses. Yeah, I just have to pinch myself really every day that I've got those beautiful animals in my life.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I normally start with a daily mantra. And so today's daily mantra, which I thought was very relevant, strength doesn't come from what you can do, it comes from overcoming the things you once thought you couldn't. I will step out of my comfort zone to become the person I believe I can be.
Oh, that's lovely, Jess. That's very fitting because yeah, I was so shy as a child, and yeah, I've had to overcome a lot of shyness.
Well, you don't seem shy now.
What about yourself? Were you shy?
I was. I actually could not stand public speaking whatsoever. And I look at my journey now, it's actually really interesting because I'm a marriage celebrant, have been for 15 years. But what I figured out what I was shy about is if the attention's on me, I don't like attention at all on me. So when I'm in my own like comfort zone, like normally at a wedding, the attention's all on the couple. And then usually when I'm like in real estate, I'm focused, it's on the owner or the buyer. It's not about me. So I have definitely come out of my comfort zone, even like coming onto this podcast and sharing stories and having guest speakers. But I think you mature with age.
That's right. And I think that a lot of people are in that situation. I found out early that you have to break through to ask them a question, and then you realize, oh gosh, they're sort of shy too. And then you then overcome shyness as
Yeah.
of like,
Well, I'm definitely extroverted these days. Where I was as a kid, very introverted. My daughter's very introverted. My son's very extroverted. It's quite interesting mix of personalities.
That's right. That's right. I love nothing more to be at home with my horses and because I've been at work all day talking to people, and yeah, it's just nice to have a balance.
Yes. Yeah.
What are you grateful for, Jess?
What am I grateful for today? I am grateful. Actually, I reflect this morning on where my business started and where it is now. Like, I've only been in real estate for 2 years. I got nominated this year for Gold Coast Woman of the Year in two categories. And so I'm very
Oh,
grateful for that.
yeah, congratulations.
And it's more just being recognized as a woman, a leader in business. But I wouldn't be able to do it without the people that surround me like yourself.
That's right. That's right. What was hard when I was younger because it sort of wasn't that way. We didn't have a lot of women role models. So yeah, so I had to really try and be one myself.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And you've got a daughter, so it's the same
Yeah,
thing. Is like you want to be the best role model for your child as well, so that they can thrive in life
that's right.
and
I've
be
got two
ambitious
daughters.
and inspired too.
Yeah.
That would keep
Yeah.
you busy.
Yeah, well, they're 15 years apart, so I feel like I've had them, as single children
Mm.
separately. So, yeah, you've got a girl, haven't you?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's interesting. Mine's 9 years apart.
Oh,
So
wow.
I've got the
Yeah.
teenage years at the moment.
Yeah.
And then, well, he's not a toddler, but some days I feel like he's a toddler. So it's totally different levels. I had all the teenagers over on the weekend at my house. I'm fully doing the slumber party situation and beach dates and waking up for sunrise and taking them down for sunset and bike rides and everything.
Yeah. But that's sort of, don't you find that's good for work? Because when you're in real estate, you talking to people all different age, we shouldn't say gaps, and we don't want to say
Yeah.
gap, but I mean, I've got my parents who are baby boomers. I'm Generation X. My husband's like, he's 12 years younger. So he's sort of, what is he, Y or something? I've got a 23-year-old daughter, so she's Z. And I've got the 9-year-old, I think she's Alpha. So I think, well, I've got a great balance talking to clients. I can sort of relate to many of
Yeah,
them. Do you find that
100%.
too?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
do find
Mm,
that. Like,
mm,
I actually started in business when I was 23, so I was like quite young.
mm.
And even that was breaking through barriers too, because not saying this out of context or trying to be out of context, but as a celebrant or businesswoman at 23,
Mm.
older generation didn't really respect me as much.
Mhm.
They're like, "Who's this young person marrying my kids?"
Mm.
But as they got to know me, age was just a number. But I also find like I have my generations are all like I do a lot of farm listings. So I'm sitting down with older generation, hearing all about their kids, their grandchildren, like trying to understand the family tree because there's that many people in it. But I love it because you learn so much about history as well that in an era that you didn't grow up in.
Oh, definitely. I love that too. I get to know my clients. I've got the settlements, 30, 60, 90 days, and you
Yeah.
you really become their friends.
Well, you probably like me. Like I
Mm.
got into real estate and everything I've done actually in my life is about connecting with people
Mhm.
because I find that enriches the soul. I don't do it from a monetary perspective. It's just getting to know people of all walks of life.
That's right. Yeah, I do too. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing with conveyancing. It's gone electronically with electronic settlements, electronic contracts, but really people need that conveyancer by their side. I find that all the time. They'll call up and they just need that reassurance. Their finance is yet to be approved. I need to get an extension in place. And we've got a bad pest and building report. A lot of AI is sort of sneaking into industries now, and our industry is probably going to be part of that. But you really can't take away the value of the interactions that you need to have that relationships with your clients.
Human
Yeah,
connection is
yeah.
so
Mm-hmm.
important. Like clients don't want to be just transactions.
Mm-hmm.
We're all human at the end of the day. And yes, you're right. Like the AI is creeping up and all the technology, but
Mm.
I'm such an old soul and
Mm.
I'll continue to be an old soul. So I like to do everything traditionally, I guess, where I grew up. Obviously, I adapt with the technology as we have to within our industries.
Mm-hmm.
But then also, you would find with your clients, I'm dealing with old soul clients that don't even know how to do DocuSign or anything like that.
Exactly, that's right. I have had a 98-year-old client use DocuSign, which is amazing, but, yeah, I just would guide
Did
them
you
on
have
the
to
phone.
sit down with her to
No,
do it?
she's actually pretty good on the phone and guided her through it. So, I mean, I had it all prepared before COVID, so it was really good, like, because once that hit, I was off and running, and I had it all before a lot of real estate agents, had it
Yeah.
available. So that's the thing, like with business, and when you have your own business, you just got to get thinking on your feet. I do my most thinking when I'm picking up my horse poo.
That's
It's
hilarious.
like a mindless job that you have to do, and I'm in the paddock just picking it up. It's funny, I networked with a business group, and there's a lady in there that has horses. She said the same thing, and I'm like, "Oh gosh," I thought it was just me, so I publicly
Mine's
announced it now.
running. Mine's running, so mine's completely different to yours. Mine's like my early morning running session with my headphones in. I zone out and I plan my whole day.
Yeah.
And that's just my go-to. I feel like I'm the best thinker in that moment.
I think that that's the beauty about having the horses, because my mind, and you would be the same, it's just going 100 miles an hour at night time, can't stop thinking about things. But if I'm around the horses, I have to be safe. I have to be thinking, what are they doing? What are they up to? Yeah, and just I can't think of anything else. So it's actually just a perfect just rest in my brain.
Maybe I need some horses. I was
Yeah.
just saying to a colleague of mine that last night I literally, one of those nights that you look at your phone every hour on the
Mm.
hour because so much work's happening this week. And I'm like just counting down to the morning, not sleeping. And they're like, "Have you tried meditation?" I'm like, "I think I'm just not there. I need to figure out something to sleep at night."
You know what? My 23-year-old daughter has regular massages, like just de-stress from work. And but she goes, "Mom, you should have a massage." I says, "I don't think I'd be able to do it. I'd be laying there just thinking of all the things I have to do."
That's exactly me. Like, and plus I don't have the time to go and
That's
get a
right. I
massage.
think, oh my gosh, you'd be stressed out more than anything, just thinking, "Oh, I've got to go back and do this." One good thing I have found is, like, if I just to stop the brain going over all night, is to write everything down the end
Mm.
of that day that you have to do the next day. just jot it down, and that really helps. It's sort of then you know you won't forget it. And yeah, it's a lot of little things I've learnt along the way having a business that's, quite good. And a lot of things, my mindset is do it now because I may as well do it because otherwise I've got it tomorrow.
Mm.
I'm not a procrastinator or thinking, oh yeah, I'll do it tomorrow. I just like getting it done because there's always going to be an urgent thing tomorrow that I'll need to deal with. So yeah, that's sort of, do you like doing that too? Or
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm note taking my phone again, my traditional side of a notepad as
Yes.
well.
Yeah, me too.
I'm adapting to technology and putting Siri and alarms in my phone to remind me of stuff
Yeah.
because it's just so packed my calendar. But yeah, no, and I think this is in business. So how long have you been in business for?
Oh, I opened the business in 2001.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always wanted my own business. I did, I worked for people. I worked in real estate when I was young. Worked for Waite and Co, which is one of the biggest agencies in Northern Beaches or Sydney at that time. And I didn't know the significance until, even recently. So yeah, I worked for Woodrow Waite, and he was president of real estate in the
That's
world. Can you
amazing.
mate? I didn't even know there was such a thing. So I was junior office girl, and yeah, and I always had so many ideas, and exactly what you just said before, Jess, like with wanting to, people don't take you seriously. And like as a 16, 17-year-old, my brain was just full of so many things I wanted to do because my parents had their own business. So Dad had a cake shop in Mona Vale and always mixed with other people with businesses. And I just wanted my own business, but I just didn't know what it was. And then when I was in real estate, it was sort of like, settle down. We don't need all your ideas. And yeah, it was very disheartening. So when I found something I finally wanted to do, it was like, wow, I just love making those decisions. It is, tricky sometimes, but we've got the Australian Institute of Conveyancers and other conveyancers I can sort of bounce off ideas. We've got a closed Facebook group that will chat about things. In our own industry of what's going on. So that's been really good.
So what changes have you seen in the industry over, 23 years?
Yeah. Oh, so much. I mean, conveyancing was heavily paper-based. So we used to actually had to write away to get a title search. I mean, it was crazy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then it'd arrive in the mail, and then we moved on to faxes. So it was faxing
I remember
everything.
the faxing days. I worked in a hotel
Oh.
where the faxes were around.
Fax, standing there just faxing contracts and letters. And I mean, when I moved into that solicitor office, when I finally wanted to do conveyancing, or thought that that's what I wanted to do, and I worked for a big solicitor firm, and we were opening 10 files a day. It was just crazy. I mean, our boss had girls under the table crying. I mean, they'd be a mess. But what I
Because
found,
they couldn't keep up?
yeah, just couldn't keep up, just in tears, and they never would stay. But I used to be on like a dictaphone. He'd be, doing all the letters, and I do all the conveyancing letters and the legal letters. And then he'd come racing around the corner again saying, oh, now we've got to do this file. And I'd be like, no, hang on. I'm just letting you know I've got this, and this, and I'm in the middle of doing this. So what priority is it between this? So we worked really well together that way. And I think that's how I work in my own business now. You work out what's priority at that very urgent moment, because everything is urgent.
Yes.
It's
yes,
like you have to
100%.
get, yeah.
I feel like you say that story, it reminds me of the things I do with Chelsea. I'm like, oh, and this, and this. And then she's like, oh my God, Jessica, like slow down. I'm like, we said on Friday, even though like we divided and conquered everything, we could have easily had clones of each of us because there was so many priorities at the same time. And business is business. You do drop things, and if a client, especially in real estate, if a client rings up and goes, hey, we had a client ring us Friday morning going, we'd like to have appraisal at 6:00 Friday night. So we're like, okay, and now we'll just try and cram that in when we had a photo shoot at the same time and all those kind of things. But you learn what the priorities are.
That's right. I mean, that I could say, oh, conveyancing is a great industry to get into, which it is for someone who wants to juggle, lots of files at once and urgency deadlines we have. But I can't say it's flexible because I don't know, when a contract is going to be signed, if someone's going to, as
Mm.
what you were just explaining, oh, we need the valuation, we need this. I don't know when a finance approval is going to fall on a date. And I mean, I could have got larger in my business over the years. I mean, there's obviously larger conveyancing businesses, but I think that's my point of difference with having the one person is that I know the file. It's me, doing it. I've started in a huge paper-based industry that now it's more streamlined with having it electronic, so I can focus more on the client. And I mean, people did cut their staff in the industry. But yeah, I think, well, that's my point of difference now because I know when I'm dealing with other firms and conveyancing, because I'm dealing with the other side,
Mm.
I'm talking to like sometimes 5 different people. It's like, oh no, she's not here, or she's left, or we share the job, or it's like, who am I speaking to? Who do I email? These, when you're working a file together, and I think, how do the clients go through dealing with this? So that's what I think now, and that's my point of difference. And I think you don't have to be massive and large and to say, hey, we do the best job.
No, 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 and you're right. Like I was talking to a client the other day, and it was the same thing. They're going through a conveyancing company, and one conveyancer is talking to me, but then they're talking to another conveyancer within the office, and you can see the communication breakdown
Mm,
significantly in that way. But it comes back again to that human connection.
it does.
So people in this industry, they come for you. They want you. That's your brand and reputation. And I know that as an agent, they don't come for me to have someone else come and present or sell their home. Obviously, as my business has grown, I am growing the team, but I'm always will be that connection point with my owners. And then obviously, depending on the team structure, Chelsea could be looking after the buyers. But even there, like I like to be involved in that side of things as well. So you're right. Like I don't measure success on how big an organization is. I measure success in a business on what that fundamental business structure and values are and what you're delivering to the clients and if you're upholding that.
Exactly. I have the same experiences too, like the large firms, they do everything at the last minute. And yeah, just restrain myself to say, why are you doing this at the last minute on settlement morning? This was something you knew about weeks ago. And clients are highly stressed. They're purchasing
Oh, it's their
large.
biggest investment.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
it's
Mm.
every client's biggest investment, and that they're purchasing for different reasons. Where it could be their first home, or they've just gone for a divorce and they're purchasing something solo, or they're unfortunately someone's passed away, and it's a deceased estate. Like so many different emotional connections of why they're in real estate. They want everything else smooth sailing. And that's why they get experts like us.
That's right.
So yeah, like I think everyone's business structure is different for different reasons and everyone wants things differently. So just stick to who you are.
That's right. I find the same. And yeah, so that's what I like to, and also like target client, we get told, who's your target client? Gosh, I have exactly all the people you just mentioned. That's who I look after. And it's like, how do I portray like who my target market is? Well, it's all of those.
It's all of the
Yeah.
above.
I think it's someone who's probably had a really bad experience with a previous conveyancing firm, and
Yeah.
then they appreciate me.
Yeah, yeah.
Because
And
often I love first home owners, but they haven't been through it before, so they probably don't know that they're getting like the best service.
yeah. And this is
Yeah.
again, it's like staying true to who you are and your service deliverables as well. And they'll find that. And it's just like I find my clients come to me because I'm very emotionally invested. Some would say maybe too much on some parts, but that's just me as a human being. And I can see that because I've got, that client then talks to another potential client. And then the next thing that property is calling me because that family just spoke about me to them. and it's Chinese whispers around town, and
It's
then they're all calling me.
It's a perfect referral, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it
No,
is.
it really is though, because you've sold yourself to those people and they know and love you and love your work, and then and then that person only has to tell somebody else, and then that's it. It's a done deal. I'm using Jess. And I love those clients too. Like it's just a relief when they call up, oh, you recommended me um, to you by, so and so. I think, oh, it's just wonderful. I always go back and thank that person
Mm.
too. So thank you so much for referring me. That's so lovely, because people don't need to do that, do they? But
No.
it just makes such a difference.
Well, they're not making money out of referring you.
Yeah. So if anyone's
Good.
listening and you say that to someone, it just means the world to a business. It really does. It makes a huge difference.
And I think exactly what you said there, it means the world to a business, because unless, unless you've run a business before, you actually don't know how hard running a business is. And like you said, the flexibility kind of thing. Like different business models do have flexibility, but in our industry, there's no flexibility. Like I was saying last week, like my phone every morning without fail from 6 a.m. was going off, and I was working most nights till 1 a.m. Not saying that is the right way. It's just that's where my business level is at the moment. And like you said, you don't know what day what's going to bring. Like you can have a full plan. And the next thing you get a phone call and you're like, okay, I've got to try and fit that in somehow. And then obviously being a parent is like finding that I had a full DMM with my daughter last night on the couch. She's like, Mom, you're working so much. And I was like, honey, like I'm a single mom. I'm trying my hardest. You won't understand today, but trust me, in a couple of years, you'll understand why I've done everything I've done, and is to provide the best future for you and your brother. And I feel like you do this juggling act and you're like, okay. And I always get that mum guilt.
Definitely. Yes.
But I will, like this weekend, for instance, like I said, I'm a celebrant as well as a real estate agent. So weekends are busy both ways. So I've got 2 weddings this week. And one of my weddings on the Saturday after opens on Saturday morning is at Mount Tambourine. Then I'm going Mount Tambourine, driving to Byron, pick up my son, and then driving from there to Maroochydore because my daughter has AFL Grand Final at 7:30 on Sunday morning.
That's incredible.
But she doesn't see that. She doesn't understand that. And it's like, honey, I literally am trying to be the best mom I can.
That's right.
And if you actually knew how hard these tasks were to get to your sports events, and I will never miss a sports event or any special event for either child. And I'll make it in those moments, I will make it very adamant to the client, sorry, this is my kid's birthday, or this is a very special sports event. I'm not missing it.
Yeah. She'll definitely appreciate it, because all I read is biographies. I just love it. I love reading about other people's stories.
Oh, I love that.
I'm in the Gold Coast Library, and I used to go up and down the aisles, just the biography section, but now I go in and order the books, because literally everyone's written a story about their life. And
have you written one about your life yet?
No, I'm thinking of it. Oh gosh, but what I was going to say, that a lot of them always talk about their childhood, how they loved how their mums were, driving them in here, there, and so she'll probably write a book one day. And
I think
thanks, Mum.
Well, everyone's always said that I should write a book about my whole life, and I'm like, I don't know with what time, so we'll have to write it for me and see. So it might be her at the end of the day.
That's right. But yeah, you just realize how important someone's childhood is. It's actually amazing how many mention their teachers, their parents, their upbringing. It shapes out who we are. I mean, my dad, he just he turned about 40 years old at the time, and my little friend up the road, her father died of cancer, and back then, I mean, it wasn't really good odds to survive, and really stays with me. I was about 7. And then when he passed away, Dad was at the cake shop from 2 or 3 in the morning, and then he had another friend pass away, And he thought, you know what, let's go around Australia. He always wanted to do it. So we
Oh,
rented the house out in Monavale. He sold the shop.
yeah,
I mean, back in 81, that was not really heard of. Now everyone's going
yeah,
around Australia, but it
yeah.
was just not the thing. And yeah, we packed up and went, got a caravan and little Commodore. It wasn't like the big car on dirt roads. And yeah, Dad was in Apex and we met up with the family also doing a trip. And so yeah, Dad
No, it's
always said,
probably one
live,
of your fondest memories of your
yeah,
childhood.
but it sort of like taught me life's so short. Like it's how Dad thought, and I think the same. So when I wanted life to start. I couldn't wait to leave school, start a
Yeah.
business, um, you know, get out of, just get out of something I wasn't that happy doing and get on with my life, get a car. And were you like that? You just couldn't
Yeah.
wait till life started? It was sort of like
I've
I felt so,
always, yeah,
yeah.
I've always lived by like you live every day as if it's your last because you don't know what tomorrow brings. So
Mm,
you need to live in that present moment.
mm,
And yeah, like I can really reflect on that because I lost my mum when I was 5.
mm,
Um, so that was a big thing of who I wanted to be, and for my kids especially, and with my daughter's DMM last night, she it's interesting how kids can pick up on things.
mm,
Really interesting. And she's like, "Mum, you're not telling me everything." And I'm like, "What do you mean I'm not telling you everything?" And she's like, I can tell everything's not okay." And I'm like, "Yeah, everything's great. Like I'm happy as I've ever been. What are you talking
mm.
about?" And so she knows this, but I got diagnosed with a brain disease earlier this year. Unfortunately, a couple of weeks ago, I found out I might need to have brain surgery.
Oh, that's
And
really, yeah.
she's like literally picked up on that. And I said to her, I was like, "This is the exact reason, honey." I'm like, "You might think mummy's like chaotic and all this stuff's happening, but I'm literally just doing everything possible. I want to spend as much time with you as mummy's going to be completely fine."
Mm.
I said, "But these little things, like we're on Monday nights or Sunday nights, we'll do baking night
Oh,
and
that's
the
so
kids and
sweet.
I will make banana bread or cupcakes." And
Mm.
it's those little things that are so important to a kid's life. And they're the memories that I love the kids to grow up with and reflect and look at going, "Oh, how fun was that?" Like last night, Chance and I made pasta and then ate ice cream watching My Kitchen Rules because my brother's on My Kitchen Rules. So
Oh, is he? Oh,
yes,
wow.
he's actually been
Oh.
pointed as the villain on this show, and he's like the biggest sweetheart ever. So I look at reality TV and I'm like, "Oh, it's cringeworthy."
Yes.
Uh,
Oh,
and people
gosh.
don't like. I guess that's why reality TV is so popular because it's all about the drama.
Mm.
But when you actually know that person that is on the other side of the camera and the way they've portrayed him, I'm gobsmacked. I'm like, I can just see how bad that would be for his mental health.
Mm.
Obviously, people make decisions to go on these shows and stuff like that, and he's an actor. But I see also the other side. He never could cook before he was on My Kitchen Rules, and now he's like the
Gosh.
best cook.
Oh, wow. You have no excuse when he gets out now. I know I just recently read Julie Goodwin's. She was the first Master
Oh,
Chef.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, incredible book. And same thing, the things that they ended up filming and what she said was different. And that was, yeah, that's why it's good. I just finished Rebel Wilson as well.
Oh, I
Highly
haven't
recommend
I
that
wanna
too.
read that. I've got the Britney Spears one sitting beside me, and Matthew McConaughey has Green Lights as
Oh,
well.
yes, I've read that. That's great.
It's yeah,
Yes, yeah,
I've been told that. So,
yeah,
my thing is I have no time, but if I go on
yeah.
a holiday, I always buy a book.
Mm.
And that's like my zone out time away from everything, the hustle and the bustle. But yeah, I'm like you. I like reading those motivational books, and I read a lot of real estate books as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, me too. It was interesting you've got the two businesses because I've got two businesses too. Because real estate can, it has its booms and
Mm.
its quiet times, and I think it was down when I was picking up my horse poo. I thought I've got to pivot here somewhere for another business because, I had Eva at 2015. Aged 45. That can be a different podcast. We
Wow,
talk about that
that's
older
amazing.
mum. But yeah, so um Anyway, so I thought, well, I've really, I've had to give up on my networking groups with the conveyancing, and because I couldn't get there early morning with a baby, but I still had to work because I needed the income. We just
Mm.
bought a new house, and thought, what am I going to do? And I thought, well, I'm looking at the ponies. I'll like turn them into unicorns. And so, and this is actually, I think I may have created the craze of unicorns because it's back in 2015. And I couldn't even find a unicorn outfit here at that time. I had to get them all made
You
overseas.
would have.
And yeah, I thought I'm going to trial it out with Eva's first birthday, and it was a hit. And because I had my networking with graphic designers and things, and yeah, want a logo, this is the name, business name, and off I went. So yeah, I literally worked 7 days a week, like what you were saying with your marriage celebrant. And it brings in work too, because I'd be out doing a pony party and people think you do it full time. You dress like, like a fairy. And they're like, oh, do you do this every day?
I love
Well,
it, like the non-serious job with
yeah.
the very serious business job.
It's such a contrast. And then they'd say, "Oh, do you do this full time?" I'm like, "Oh no, pony party wouldn't pay for the horses." Well, a little bit, but yeah, I'm actually
It's more that hobby
conveyancer.
business. So yeah, that's the same with the celebrancy.
Yeah, and so that's how I did the two businesses. But yeah, so when conveyancing goes quiet, I'll go back into the pony parties. But I mean, when COVID hit, then the pony parties unfortunately, stopped for a
Mm.
while. Got back conveyancing, went really busy. But now the insurances are so expensive, so I have to do multiple pony parties
To
to
make
even
it
break it.
worth it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's
Yeah.
sort of hard. It is a love job that I just love. I love seeing the little ones, and coming with a unicorn. It's just priceless.
Oh, you know me. I love horses and animals. I'm on farms most days these days. So it's like the cows or the horses or the chickens or the pigs.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Animals are amazing, aren't they? They make you just live in the moment. That's what I do with the animals. And yeah, the dog just wants the ball thrown, and the horse just wants to pat in its hay, and your brain's going, oh, yeah, I'll just do that for a minute and go back to the conveyancing half hour.
Well, I think it's interesting because since I've started listing a lot of rural lifestyle properties, what I'm actually seeing is that, you know, all these industries of doctors, lawyers, any sort of professional industry, they are looking for a rural lifestyle property just for a weekender. And I think it's because people want to actually switch off. You talk about the horse poo.
Yeah, yeah,
It's like they just want to go outside of their busy hustle bustle life and take the kids
yes.
for those memories on the weekend away.
Mm.
And that's where, yeah, this whole rural lifestyle has become huge. It's
Yes.
like the inquiries on these properties are massive.
Mm, mm.
And when I talk, like I was talking to a Gold Coast couple on the weekend that came out to one of my properties up at Crystal Creek, and I was like, "Oh, you're looking moving here? What are you looking for?" And they're like, "We just want a weekender that we can just get some horses, do a bit of farming, and just be away from the craziness."
Exactly. I mean,
It's
yeah,
a
you've got to
mindset
do your
thing.
sea change and your green change at
Yeah.
some time in your life, don't you? Really, I think it's always have one or the other. I mean, our neighbours lived right on the beach and everything rusted, and they wanted to get away from that, and they love their acreage. And so, but sometimes I've had a look at some beachfront properties, think, oh, away from. There's always something to do on acreage.
Yes.
But then, yeah, we come back to the acreage and go, oh, what a relief, really. It is getting busy out there and on the roads and things. So,
Yeah. It's the
yeah.
peace and serenity.
That's right.
It's been so lovely having you, Sharon, on the show. And hopefully we can have you again and we can talk about this journey of 45 and having a baby.
That's right. Yeah. I could give some hope to others that
Yes.
are feeling that way in that age, and what my experience was. That'd be wonderful. Yeah. Thanks so much for
Amazing.
having me, Jess. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a lovely afternoon, everyone. We'll talk to you soon.